the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Might we remain standing for a moment? Judge Goldstein passed away in the middle of the week. He served as a jurist in this village and other capacities for some 40 years. So he'll be greatly missed, and appreciate an opportunity to show our respect. Thank you.
Are we going to open? Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Presentations and activities by public bodies, recreation and parks, Chairperson Vanessa Henry. Human Relations Director Juanita Harwood.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Activities report for October 2019. October 3rd, the Village of Hempstead had its annual Hispanic Heritage Month program. The Village of Hempstead recognized the local residents for their dedication to the culture and community. October 7th, attended a census meeting to reiterate the importance of the census. They just wanted us to make sure that all of the stakeholders get the word out. And they wanted to remind us that billions of dollars of federal funding flow through the states and the communities each year, so it's really imperative that everyone fill out the census form. October 21st, attended a workshop for Mental Health Association in regards to trauma, the effects, and also how we can deal with individuals in the village with trauma. Attended the Alzheimer's Forum. Again, that was in reference to informing the community about the resources that they have for them. Upcoming events, the annual Veterans Appreciation Luncheon, which we have a flyer in the back. We have a game night, and we have our annual turkey giveaway, which will be held on Tuesday, November the 26th. That's it. Questions?
Any questions?
Comment, if possible.
Sure.
I know you were very close to the Student Government Day that occurred this past Friday.
Which, thank you, by the way.
And I'd like to commend you for your efforts, as well as anyone from the village that was involved in the planning of that. Very impressed by the young people that came through. If you think these board meetings are spirited, you should have seen the mock board meeting that these young people put together last Friday. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and I must say,
blessed to be a part of it.
Community, I was very impressed with the essays that the students turned in. We have some bright students in this village. I just think we as adults, we can actually take a page out of their book and listen to them.
Thank you. Underline those comments.
Zoning Board Officer Dolores McLean, Personal Wireless Board.
There's no activity at this time.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question of the wireless?
Absolutely.
Is there a way you could help advise the board a little bit about this whole notion of 5G and 5G? Not today in general, but with you and your board members, help us educate ourselves on what 5G is, some of the benefits, and some of what everybody's saying is the detriment, because we're starting to get some activity from people asking about 5G in the village. So that would be helpful if you could help educate us.
I will do it. But do I have to make an appointment, or do you want to do a board meeting?
Or if you could look up some paperwork or anything you can give us, because right now I don't know anything about it, but I know it's coming,
Yes.
and there's a lot of people talking about it.
Chairman Danny Leo of the Bowman and Resort of Zoning Appeals.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees.
Good evening.
This is a report for the hearing held just October 3rd. Case 1982 had to do with the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They were looking to construct a church at 265 Belmont Parkway. We granted an extension on that one to 4/20/20. Case 1986 was to construct a storage facility at 46 Greenwich, which is also we granted an extension to go on to 2/20. And the same with case 1845, which was to construct a 4-story 19-unit apartment building at 533 Granite Street in Hempstead, which was also granted an extension to 4220. And case, this one I've mentioned a couple of times in the past in some other reports, finally got it taken care of. In case 1970 and 1995, originally they wanted to come before us and ask for two-family homes on a lot subdivision. With a little bit of give and take with them, we finally came to a conclusion that the most that they're gonna do, based upon the conditions, I'll explain what the conditions are in a second, is 2 single-family homes, no multifamilies at all over there, and that's all gonna be based upon Nassau County Planning Commission decision, because they still have to go for a subdivision. So if they get the approval from the county, we're good with the project. If the county says no, it's gonna be strictly a 1-family on that site, and that's it. So it's gonna revert to the original condition. And that, like I said, we modified and granted it back on 10/3/2019. Cases 1998, 1996, and 1997 are all type 2 environmental short forms, and all of those have been placed on the calendar for 12/5/2019. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Questions?
And really quick, some of the rationale behind the extensions on the ones that are going to 4220?
The rationale, well, as far as that, it was just a question of getting their paperwork together and presenting the case correctly the first time in front of us, because on a lot of these other cases, and an example would be 1970, the reason why we have 2 numbers on that one, 1970 and 1995, he originally came to the board with 1 application for 2 houses. He wanted to try and lump it together. So what we've been doing, and trying to just for our own housekeeping purposes, don't come to us until you have everything organized. And that's what we're trying to do on those other ones. So that's the explanation on that.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Unless there's any other questions.
That's fine.
Okay. Good evening.
Chairperson Nathan Pettis of the planning board.
Good evening. The planning board met on October 28th at 6:30 p.m. We had a full board present. Also Tracy August of council and Michelle Banks of planning board. The acceptance of the minutes was moved by Leroy Brown that the reading of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 16th be dispensed with and accepted as reviewed. Second by Marcia Turner. The following cases were approved. Case number 807, 277 South Franklin Street for site plan approval of a Fine Fair supermarket. Case number 808, 33 South Franklin Street for site plan approval of El Cacique Tire Shop. Case number 809, 510 Fulton Avenue for site plan approval of Tacos Los Amigos. Case number 810, 220 North Franklin Street for site plan approval only of Millennium Chevrolet. Case number 811, 30 California Avenue for site plan approval to construct a 2-story colonial style family dwelling. Case 813, 281 Fulton Avenue for site plan approval of El Shaddai Variety Store. Case number 816, 270-A Greenwich Street for site plan approval of Extreme Fit Showroom. Case number 817, 719 Fulton Avenue for site plan approval of Munchie's Deli. And case number 818, 102 Linden Avenue for site plan approval to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling. There was no further business. A motion was made to adjourn the meeting, and the next meeting will be on Monday, November 16th at 6:30 p.m. Any questions?
Yeah, any update on the Sewell Avenue plant? Any update on the Sewell Avenue problem? Is that you that's on the board? Maybe I should back.
Well, it hasn't come back before us.
It didn't come back before you?
I don't know what the lack of a better word you want to call it, recycling station
Yeah.
or whatever, the light industrial
Has it
park.
come back to us?
It was still open on the planning board side.
Yes,
Why?
but it hasn't, there's
It hasn't
been
been
no
back?
further information we received.
I know that at our last meeting, or the meeting before that, we had a gentleman here talking about an incinerator and all that stuff.
Oh,
So I went down to take a look because he was saying that he spoke with someone down there who said they was putting an incinerator and all that stuff in. But that's not the case.
No, not that I know of.
No, that's not-
They have
that's
not
not
come back
Mr. Jones, I
before us.
believe he's now aware of that.
Yeah, okay.
And the, what was it, fresh supermarket?
Fine Fair,
Is that the old Holy House site by Martin Luther King Drive?
right across from where, Zelda's
Park.
was, across, yes.
And
Across from
so-
Lincoln Park.
So the site plan is approved?
Because we checked with the building department, it's a allowable use, because it was, back in the day, it was a supermarket before it was the Hoagie House.
So there was
It's a
no,
permittable use,
right,
so
but the site plan itself, all the required parking
all
was
the,
there
it met all the requirements.
without any zoning changes or?
We were told by the building department we didn't have to go through it, that they didn't have to go through zoning because it was allowable or permitted use.
And they
And there
met
was
all
no
the,
opposition, there was nothing, no one there.
There used to be a supermarket, you know.
Way back in the day, that's what I'm saying, it was a permitted use.
It's a deep plot.
We're only there just for the site plan approval, for the
Right.
process of, that it's a permitted use and that it meets the requirements for parking, for the amount of space and, you know, for sanitation purposes and the traffic. And it has met all the requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shirley Wilson, Hempstead Housing Trust.
Excuse me, I have a question for the planning board. Excuse me, I have a question for you.
Yes.
The gentleman was also.
We could continue on. We'll have an open mic for you, just as we will for everybody else. We continue on.
Well, she's not gonna be here, so she's not gonna give me answer my question.
But really hate to have a rule for you and a rule for everybody else. And basically, this is now activity reports to be.
But I think we have to answer questions at a full planning board meeting.
Yes,
Because I don't have
that's
any
the
information
opportunity.
in front of me.
Okay,
Right, you could, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
right, that's why the planning board meetings are open for that type of questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, you didn't mention to her
Oh,
that
if
he
you
was
could,
complaining
please.
about
Thank you. Thank
the
you.
odor pollution.
If you
in
go to the
regards
next
that
person.
place. So they're doing something there.
Shirley Wilson, Hempstead Housing
I'm trying to
Trust.
check it out, because they're doing something there, because he's complaining.
but the planning board is only for site plan approval. That's another department who will handle that kind of thing.
She's not here.
Let's continue the meeting, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Charlene Thompson, Community Development Agency.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just start off with the CDA Properties 38 Thorn is currently being under review by the Zoning Board of Appeals. The CDA was hoped to develop this property in cooperation with the Hempstead Community Land Trust meeting. The next Land Trust meeting is Tuesday, November 12th at 5:30 at Kennedy Park. I'm happy to announce that the CDA has rolled out its first-time homebuyers down payment assistance program, offering up to $25,000 in down payment assistance in the form of forgivable loans to program and income-eligible first-time homebuyers purchasing homes within the village of Hempstead. Applications are available for pickup at the CDA offices, or you can call and we can mail it to you. Completed applications will be received by the CDA between November 15th, 2019 and February 14th, 2020. Funding upon eligibility review will be made available on a first-come, first-served basis. Main Street beautification project is essentially completed. We're setting up meetings with DPW for the transition. We're currently soliciting landscaping and plumbing contractors for ongoing maintenance. We've also initiated discussions with the Hempstead Police Department for installing surveillance cameras. Brownfield Opportunities Area, report and recommendations to be completed and delivered to the Secretary of New York State by January 2020. We have a steering committee meeting this coming Thursday, beginning at 4:30 for the final phase of review. Safe Routes to School. The construction project for Jackson, Maine is pending a budget modification approval by New York State. The educational components are being implemented at all 3 sites. That's David A. Patterson, Jackson, Maine, and ABGS. And also new safety equipment for the crossing guards will be purchased using this funding beginning in this fall through the winter. Empire State Poverty Reduction Initiative. We have requested a second allocation of funding, which is currently under review by New York State. The next two items are new initiatives that we're launching. The Village of Hempstead Reentry Task Force and Workforce Advisory Council. At the request of Mayor Ryan, the Village of Hempstead Community Development Agency has established the Village of Hempstead Reentry Task Force to assist Hempstead residents scheduled to be released as a result of the 2019 bail reform law. The CDA has also established the Village of Hempstead Workforce Advisory Council to, number 1, identify regional employers committed to hiring residents with complicated work histories. Number 2, identify skills needed for available jobs with these employers. Number 3, secure funding to develop customized training programs to equip residents with those skills. Number 4, facilitate hiring of Hempstead residents from these customized trainings. And number 5, identify best practices to be replicated. The second new initiative, the CDA is launching a comprehensive program to identify and engage minority and/or women-owned businesses, as well as economically disadvantaged business enterprises as qualified under what we call HUD Section 3. Businesses interested in pursuing government-funded contracting opportunities. Nassau County is currently engaging in the planning process for its 5-year consolidated plan for funding priorities through 2020 and through 2024. They'll be here next month to give a short presentation themselves. Just like to go over a few activities. On the 7th of October, I presented the fundamentals of fair housing at Hofstra University at their land use training program for municipal planning and zoning officials. On October 17th, I attended the Department of State's State and Local Government Innovation Conference in Albany. On October 23rd, I did a presentation on understanding local government and a voter demonstration at Kennedy Park. And on October 24th, I attended the NASA Hub Project Workforce Development Workgroup meeting at the Cradle of Aviation. We will also be having a first-time homebuyers information session to go over additional details about our down payment assistance program on November 18th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. at Kennedy Memorial Park. That's all I have for today.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, the Main Street project.
Yes.
You know, who's responsible for the lining down there? Is it us or is it the company that, and the marketing of the parking spaces? Is that us or is that the contractor?
So the parking spaces behind the project?
The parking spaces on Main Street. We
So-
have meters, so are they putting the lines there, the numbers in?
So that's coordinated with the Department of Public Works.
Okay.
And I know they're putting additional pay stations in instead of putting the meters back. And I would have to talk to Frank Germinaro to double check as to whose ultimate responsibility that would be. I know we recently repaved the streets and we're scheduled to have the lining and the crosswalks and street linings to be put in place by Wednesday, I believe.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronald Monson from the Electrical Board.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, and village residents.
Good evening.
I'm here to give the report for the licensing board for our last meeting, which was held on October 24th, 2019 at 4:15 p.m. Members present were Mr. Considine, electrical inspector, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Kanjemi, I was absent, and Mr. Dimitri was absent. Minutes of the last meeting of September 2019 were approved as read. The following applicants were approved to take the electrical license exam. All their paperwork and credentials were in order. Mr. Jason Kelly of Locust Valley, New York. Mr. William Von Elm of North Merrick, New York. The following applicants passed Part 1 of the electric license exam. Mr. Lizardo Mayer of Huntington Station, New York. Mr. Robert Fink of Long Beach, New York. And Mr. Ronaldo Ortiz of Brentwood, New York. Additionally, the following applicant passed Part 2 of the electrical licensing exam. Mr. Matthew Friedberg of Smithtown, New York. We recommend he be issued a master's electrician's license. We had a discussion that took place, Article 406, 4.4D of the National Electrical Code, replacement receptacles and arc fault circuit interrupter protection. Additionally, we spoke on Article 352 of the National Electric Code, rigid polyvinyl chloride, that's PVC conduits. And with no further business that evening, the meeting was adjourned at 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Question?
Thank you.
Wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Village Historian, Renee Bethany.
Excuse me, could I just give it back? You go. Here's the, sorry, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Ryan and trustees. I'll just read out these several items. While continuing my general research into Hempstead Village, I have also continued writing articles for the Hempstead Beacon, both historical and current. I want to start a series of profiling people of the past century who have living relatives or friends in this village, the way I did Lillian Gordyne and Russell Service. If your relatives or friends fall into this category, I would like to know it. I think there are a lot of people who have sustained this village, but have not had much written about them, if anything. Another example would be the lady after whom the middle school is named.
Alberta B. Gray Schultz.
Yeah, Alberta B. Gray Schultz. There's a lot that she did, and I've picked up some amounts of information from historic newspapers, but I think I need to talk to a lot of people. And then also, Margaret Golden Rhodes. Marguerite, yeah, she would be another person that I just need to research, but I don't find anything particularly written about her in newspapers or whatever that to which I have access. So this is a thing I want to start doing and publishing those in the Beacon. And also, Janice Richardson is having me pass the articles along to her, be posted on a blog. I'm still not quite sure what it is. She's working on it. That's connected with the village website, so that these things will be ongoingly available to anybody that wants to read them. So on Friday, October 25th, I came to participate with Miss Joy Van Hook's yearly trip for her 8th grade class from the middle school to visit Village Hall. She brings them each year to meet the mayor, meet the chief of police and other village officials, and take a lengthy tour of the Hempstead Police Department. I was going to give a historical talk about the mayoral display, but there wasn't time. But I greatly enjoyed following Miss Van Hook's class through the tour. It increased my admiration for our police department and all those in public service here. I was also able to participate to a degree with the Student Government Day on November 1st. I conducted a lovely young lady named Lordia, she was a 6th grader at the middle school, on a tour of the Hempstead Public Library while other students followed the officials. I could not attend the mock board meeting, but I want to come again next year because it just seems like a terrific idea. I've never seen it before. I've been taking my own photographs of intersections in downtown Hempstead. My plan is to label them, print them out, and leave both the hard copies and a USB drive with the photos in digital form at the archives of the library. because photos taken of those same intersections in the past and archived at the library have given me a lot of insight into past village life. And one more thing, just doing those photographs, it was on a really nice day. It was on Friday and on Sunday. And Hempstead really is beautiful. Along Front Street, standing in certain places, the vistas, all down there with the church steeples on either side, and just the way the pattern of the boulevards goes. It really is quite pretty, and I was telling Ms. Thompson that I've been reading a book called Urban Alchemy, which is written by an African-American clinical psychologist named Dr. Mindy Fullilove. She focuses particularly on how spaces affect people psychologically. This book has opened my eyes to how space can be designed in a community to foster either unification or separation. I'm not an architect. There are people that know more about such matters, but the principles she describes in this book seem like something that could be applied to thinking about Hempstead, so I will try to pass some information about that along in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Samantha Townsend, Deputy Village Clerk, the Board of Trustees hereby waives the reading of the minutes for the regular meeting that was held on October 15, 2019, and accept them as reviewed.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Report of the Village Justice, month September 2019. Total number of cases before the court, 2,589. Total money remitted to the village controller, $247,344. Copy of this report is on file in the village clerk's office during regular village business hours. Mayor Ryan and Deputy Mayor Renfro approves the miscellaneous license and permit applications as reviewed. Resolved that upon the recommendation of Sharice Vanderholt, village attorney, to authorize the tax circular matter with Sue Hare Safara Garupa for property known as 163 through 165 Henry Street, Hempstead, New York, for the tax years 2011 through 2012 through 2019, 2020, in a total amount of $10,000.
So moved. Second.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
The wording has been changed for the resolution number 6.
Thank you. Not at this time, sir.
I'm sorry, was it both?
It was pulled.
Yeah.
Could we make our application? Because we did have a conference beforehand, and we'd like to try to resolve the issue today.
Yeah, that's not the procedure that we're going to follow at this time. It's recommended by the deputy mayor that it be pulled.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the changes that's on here.
Did we
Actually,
have comments on the
Yeah, I
agenda
was
before?
gonna tell you what they were.
Huh?
So, to give us a specific.
This is all.
Item 6 has been pulled. Resolved, number 7, resolved that upon recommendation of Mary Burns, the traffic and safety board chairperson, that the board of trustees will have to approve the following recommendations made by the traffic safety board.
So moved.
Second.
That's good. What question? I think I was not present at this meeting, and I don't know if the chief looked at these recommendations. I was a little confused about, about some of them. I mean, I don't think this is a must go right now type of thing in terms of traffic safety stuff.
But you
I went
already
to
had a
intersection
second.
and I went to
You already had a
the other street, which are both streets that we had one fatal accident on coming out of the side street on the North Franklin. People trying to make the left. I'm just the way this is worded with the sign, I'm just a little confused about what they were trying to accomplish with this, please. I don't know if you're familiar with the.
I'm not familiar with the traffic safety board.
Yeah, I missed that meeting. That was the meeting that just passed, and I
And North Franklin Street is a county street.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But this is just parking on that street. Because it's very difficult to see north or south when you're coming out the side street, but I don't know what they were trying to accomplish is accomplished by what they put forth on this.
So the items were moved and second, so we're gonna make a motion to pull, to go back and vote again.
Take a withdrawal.
Withdraw. So we're gonna make a motion to withdraw item number 7, that upon the recommendation of Mary Burns, the Traffic and Safety Board chairperson, that she would like to approve the following recommendations made by the Traffic Safety Board. This is to withdraw.
And then it will be
Yeah,
voted.
I move to withdraw the motion.
Move my second.
Trustee Hobbs,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Renfro,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Item has been pulled, number 7. Resolved that upon the recommendation of Kevin S. Coleman, Assistant Chief of Police, that the Board of Trustees hereby approves enter into a contract with the New York State Government's Traffic Safety Committee statewide police traffic services program for the Hempstead Police Department for the fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Seatbelt mobilization enforcement, $4,280, and regular PTS enforcement, $16,050, and a total amount of $20,330 for the periods commencing October 1, 2019 through September 30, 2020.
Move.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Renfro,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Joe Gill, village treasurer, that the board of trustees hereby approves for the Incorporated Village of Hempstead to enter into an agreement with Penflex Incorporated, 50 Century Hill Drive, Suite 3, Latham, New York, 12110, to provide actual, real, never can pronounce that word, and administrative services for the firefighter service award program for the period commencing November 1, 2019, to October 31, 2020, for an estimated fee of $9,000. Be it also resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute said agreement on behalf of the village of Hempstead on such terms and conditions as are acceptable to the village attorney.
Move.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs,
Abstain.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Renfro,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Vote
If I
passed.
could just remind everybody, if you have a question for the open mic, please get it in as soon as possible, definitely before the end of the business portion of the meeting.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Sharice Brandon Hall, village attorney, that authorization hereby be granted to the Board of Trustees to approve a safety policy to ensure the personal safety and welfare of all employees, as well as the general public, which is primary and continuing concern for our village. Our goal is to provide every employee a workplace free from recognized hazards that could potentially cause serious physical harm or health impairment.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Renfro,
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Resolution scheduling a public hearing to consider amending the code of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, Chapter 9, Code of Ethics. Whereas the Village Board of Trustees desires to amend the code of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, and now therefore the Village Board of Trustees hereby schedules a public hearing to be held on the 19th day of November, 2019 at 6:15 p.m. at Hempstead Village Hall, 99 James A. Garner Way, Hempstead, New York, to consider amending Chapter 9, Code of Ethics of the Code of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead.
So moved.
Second with a question, just counsel.
Yes.
So when we have the public hearing, come out of the public hearing, the vote has to be specifically based on whatever's here now, or we can amend it for stuff that comes up in the public hearing.
We can amend this chapter for stuff that comes up in the public hearing, but then I have to serve the board the notice 7 days prior to that actual vote. Okay? Okay.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Joseph Simone, Superintendent of Building Department, that the Board of Trustees hereby approve to issue a license as a master plumber to Dennis Trejo, 99 Nichols Court, Hempstead, New York, 11550.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs,
Yes.
Trustee Daniels.
Yes.
Trustee Renfro.
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
And that's a 99 James A. Garner. Resolved that upon the recommendation of Sharice Vanderhold, village attorney, that the Board of Trustees authorize the reappointment of Joel A. Watson, Esquire, as per diem special prosecutor in the legal department at a fee of $40 per hour, such term appointment to end on April 6, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Question. Is this on an as-needed basis?
Yes.
Trustee Hobbs,
Yes.
Trustee Daniels.
Yes.
Trustee Renfro.
Yes.
Mayor Ryan.
Yes.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Juanita Hogwood, Executive Director of our Human Relations Council, the Village of Hempstead to enter into an agreement with the Nassau County Department of Human and Health Services, 60 Charles Lindbergh Boulevard, Suite 160, Uniondale, New York, 11553, to allow Natalia Watson, Village of Hempstead resident, to volunteer up to 32 hours under the Work Experience Program.
So moved.
Second with a question. I just didn't understand what it is.
It's a PLEP program that what happens is when an individual is, they receive benefits from the Nassau County Department of Human and Health Services, otherwise known as the Department of Social Services, they have to work a certain amount of hours in order to treat those benefits with the Work Experience Program.
Sorry.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Kevin S. Collier, Assistant Chief of Police, that the Board of Trustees hereby appoints Shariah Usher, 99 James A. Garner Way, Hempstead, New York, new hire, Department Police, title School Crossing Guard, part-time, salary $14.91 per hour upon civil service approval.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss this personnel matter.
Second.
Roll vote, please.
I need a second.
I did. A second.
Daniels. Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Yes.
Personnel issue, executive session, be back as quickly as we can.
Oh, make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Kevin S. Colvin, Assistant Chief of Police,
We're pulling up, so.
is pulled.
So
Item
we're
number
gonna,
15 is pulled.
yes.
15 is pulled.
15 is pulled.
Item
Wait. You need, don't you need?
Well,
you need
I make a motion based on executive session that we carry out the decision made in
Executive
executive session.
session, correct.
15, 16, 17 would be pulled.
Right.
I second.
15, 16, and 17? No, not 17, man.
No, it's 18.
It'll be 15,
Is it
16, and
18?
18.
15, 16, and 18.
Thank you.
Could you explain what you're doing?
We've pulled 15, 16, and 18.
You pulled 15,
15, 16, and 18.
and who are the people involved?
All right.
Shariah Usher, Shanice Usher, and Lexis McCain.
Number 17, please.
Okay? Resolved that upon the recommendation of Kevin S. Colvin, Assistant Chief of Police, that the Board of Trustees hereby, for the appointment of the salary change of certain full-time and part-time employees of the Incorporated Village of Hempstead, Teresa Ellis, 99 James A. Garner Way, Hempstead, New York, new hire, Department Police, title School Crossing Guard, part-time, salary $14.91 per hour upon civil service approval.
So moved.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Item 19, Resolved that upon the recommendation of Ron Martin, Supervisor of Sanitation and Recycling, that the Board of Trustees hereby appoints Shaquille Watts Harrison, 99 James A. Bonner Way, Hempstead, New York, new hire, Department DPW Sanitation, laborer, part-time, $14.91 per hour.
So move.
Second.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Resolved that upon the recommendation of Joe Gill, village treasurer, all meeting bills ordered by the Board of Trustees, check warrant dated November 4, 2019, be approved as previously reviewed.
So move. Second.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Daniels?
Yes.
Trustee Renfro?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes. That concludes the business portion of the meeting. The open mic is now available. We call the names of the people who submitted questions. Renee Bethany?
I'm not sure I remember all three questions. But the first one, I've just been reading that book, which made me think a lot of what Ms. Thompson has been accomplishing, trying to renovate spaces. And I just wondered if Denton Green could ever once again be opened generally during daytime. When I first moved here, it was 1993, and I'd bring my kids up to the library and we'd walk around in it. And then I don't remember at what point it became closed except for special occasions.
I don't mean to cut you short, but the answer is yes.
You think so? That'd be cool. And then I forget what I had before I
You
said.
have Stoughton Avenue?
Oh, yeah, because I've been walking around in the village and taking pictures and I just, there are places that are doing a lot. Like, I didn't even know that the Helen Keller building was still operating. I thought it had moved somewhere because it looks just kind of decrepit. And then when a person flew here she was from living in Arkansas, but she was a descendant of John Carney, and she came here on a vacation. Plus, she had found out there was a center for the blind, and she worked with blind people. And there it was. I mean, it's a very active place, doing a lot of work, but I just wondered if the place can just be cleaner. It seems to me there's a lot of places in Hempstead that it would elevate the people's sense of the village if the sidewalks were just repaired a bit around the businesses and just be made cleaner. That's a walking person's observation. And then the third one is I would love to write about whatever's going on with the Hempstead Bank building, and the address of the business that I found online through Nassau County, it doesn't actually exist. And I'm just wondering if there's anybody that can help me try to get in touch with the owners, or who would have any information about that.
It was actually mentioned at the Community Development Agency meeting this evening, so I would refer you to Commissioner Sherlin Thompson.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I didn't want to lose out my opportunity, so thank you so much for seeing me. The name is Clarona Griffith. I'd just like to mention a few things. We had the Man of Substance event on October 26th, which was a great success for the men in the community that participated. Thank you so much. We also have an event coming up for our young entrepreneurs on November the 23rd. That is going to be a financial literacy workshop, which is going to be with the Nassau Federal Credit Union. And following that, they're going to have a pop-up shop, which we will announce on Facebook as well as our website, what time and location these events are going to take place. So we have a series of different types of workshop coming up. We also have a workshop for the business community to become MWBE certified. That's going to be on December the 12th. And also on December the 12th, we also have a workshop for our young professionals, which is going to be a sensor workshop teaching them about the sensor. So that's going to be on December the 12th. And last but not least, On December the 14th, we have a Toys for Tot drive to put a smile on a child's face in the community, which is going to be a breakfast brunch. That's going to be at 261 South Franklin Street in the Lyndon Knowles building. And we're asking all businesses to donate a toy for Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Very good. All right, yeah.
My name was on the paper, isn't it? No, he may have called you the order that was received.
No.
No, the order that.
Yeah, if you're here, you'll be called.
My name is Catherine Gary. I have a question about 9 site plans regarding the downtown redevelopment. If you recall, about a year ago, it was revealed that Trustee Daniels had a contract with the village and the developer to implement the downtown redevelopment project, or at least as a consultant with it. And in his contract, it stated that 9 site plans had been submitted to the planning board. That originally there were 5 that were submitted, and and this would be as of March of 2017, that the master developer had submitted 9 additional plan applications to the village planning board. And at the October meeting of last year, I asked Mr. Daniels, what are these 9 additional site plans? And he indicated he didn't know about them, in spite of the fact it was in his contract. And no one on the board indicated that they knew anything about them. So I put in a FOIL request to three places, to the planning board, because it says they were submitted to the planning board, the planning board, the building department, and the community development agency. I put a FOIL request into each. The building department and the CDA responded in writing, saying that they knew nothing of these 9 additional plans. And the planning board, I spoke with Michelle Banks, who responded to my request, and she said that they're unaware of these additional 9 plans also. So the other day I was reading the Master Developer Agreement again, and I noticed that in Article 5, it states, submission of plans for municipal properties. It says prior to closing, if you remember the closing was in 2015, prior to closing, the developer shall submit a preliminary site plan that provides for the development of said municipal property that is compliant with the overlay district.
Where are you, Ms. Gary?
The bottom of page, the second page of that document, Article 3.
Third page, 17.
Page 17, right. So apparently prior to closing, there was supposed to be a preliminary site plan. And then it says, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 504, if the developer elects to waive any approvals as set forth in subsection 501A, developer agrees that developer shall, within 1 year of closing title, so that would have been by December of 2016, that they would have had to submit a proposed site plan, a building permit application, and associated construction documents to the municipality for the issuance of a building permit. In the event, and this is the interesting part, because no one seems to know where these 9 plans are, in the event that developer does not submit a proposed site plan within the 1 year of closing of title on those properties, title to such property shall revert to the municipality. So, the question is, were 9 plans submitted? And why, if they were, why does no one have them? And why have they not been revealed to the public? So that's my question. Are there 9 additional plans submitted by a year, by December of 2016? Were they submitted? And what are they? And why did no one have them? And why did Trustee Daniels say he didn't know anything about it when he was charged being paid $250 an hour to implement this? And it's right in his contract. So those are my questions. Now, if you don't know the answer at this point, just say so and I will give you time to find these documents, okay? But if you do know the answer, I'd appreciate it now.
Fair enough. I believe your first option is the one we're going to select. Our attorney was not the attorney at that time, so let's give her an opportunity to do her homework on this one. It seems to suggest that if the 9 additional sites, to go with the 5 original site plans that were submitted by the master developer, may jeopardize the...
No, I can answer.
I know, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the person who was under contract at that time.
Check next time.
Go ahead, fire away.
Shade tree continues. You're right. And I recall the meeting back in October. Well, I will tell you that I was actually cleaning up the other day, and I did come across additional 4 site plans, or reference to 4 site plans. I actually have it in the back. I'll go back and look.
Well, I know there were 4 site plans.
No. 4 on top of the 5. So that would be the 9. It's not 9 additional, it was the 5 that were
it does say 9 additional.
It does say 9 additional.
Well, I don't know what the additional was, but to my knowledge, when they did this, there was only 5 working. If you
Right,
let me finish. 5 working, meaning that they were actively trying to do something on, and then there were 4 additional site plans. I don't know off the top of my head what they were trying to do with those additional 4. Now the 5, trust me if correct me if I'm wrong, attorney, that the 5, they have been continuing to try to keep those site plans alive.
At least 3,
At least
they've
3.
applied for an extension,
Right.
which is going to be heard before the planning board on the 3rd Monday of this month.
Right.
The
And then,
3rd Monday of this month.
Yes.
So there is a reference to trying to keep some of those alive. Now the other ones, I don't know, the 4 that I came across, I don't know what the status of those was. I don't know if they were fully approved by the by planning board or not.
Well, one
But
was
for the
Dell.
first time, just the other day, one of them might have been Dell.
One was Dell.
One was what?
Dell.
Dell.
The bus,
Dell.
right.
Well, I thought Dell was part of the original 5.
Let me go back. Let me go and look.
Because
So I don't have
that was submitted
You're right, no, you're
on November of 2016. Dell was submitted on December 2, so that's part of the original 5.
Let us go back and look, because literally, I just did this last week, and I put a bunch of stuff in the office the other day, and one of those things that was in there was the identification of those sites. I don't disagree with you. I'm gonna go back and look. Just give me a few
Okay.
days, and we'll go back and look.
Well,
and see.
let's go back to look at the Master Developer Agreement, Chapter 5, or Article 5, states that if those plans were not submitted within 1 year by December of 2016, then the properties are to be reverted back to the ownership of the municipality.
I don't
And
think
that's pretty serious.
I don't think this clause gets you where you're trying to go, but let's take it one step at a time. I don't think it gets you exactly where you're trying to go, but let's
Well,
look at it first. and
That's
then-
your opinion, but my opinion is that if these plans have not been submitted within 1 year of 2015, of December of 2015, then their properties are supposed to be reverted back to the municipality.
We can look at it.
Okay.
We can look at it.
Thank you.
Let me just clear one thing up. I'm hearing 2 different things. I wanted to make sure we have it right. The original plan called for 5 site plans.
Right.
We go down 2 paragraphs later and note the date, March 10th, 2017. It says the master developer has submitted 9 additional site plans.
Right.
But it never says additional to what?
So that would make 14.
Yeah, I know a 9. I don't know anything about the ones that the 5, I don't think it was 5 plus 9. I think it was 9 in total.
That 14 parcels were closed on. 14.
So we got
were
a
closed
We
on.
got a whole
Right?
time.
So if site plans, if those site plans with the applications and the construction diagrams were not submitted by December of 2016, those properties are supposed to revert to the control or the ownership of the village.
Ms. Gary, you're tipping everybody off now, so you should cut it here. Let's go figure it out. When you do it right.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Tina Schufert.
We have a complaint, someone going, it's about the traffic conditions on Courtney Road, at the corner of Courtney Road and Hempstead Turnpike. There's illegal parking on both sides. And they block the intersection when they're making the right turn onto, from Courtney Road onto Hempstead Turnpike. In addition to that, they're blocking the curb cut to get into the chicken joint. All right? You know, it's like a whole line, you know. So the traffic that's already on Hempstead Turnpike has to actually stop.
The sandwich is back. The chicken sandwich is back.
No, that's not Popeyes, right?
No, that's what I'm talking about, Popeyes.
It's a Popeyes, but Popeyes is not on Courtney, that's the Dunkin' Road.
Yeah. No, it's between Courtney and Dunkin' Road. It's on it, it's on that, between those two blocks. It's on Hempstead Turnpike.
No, we got
That's
it.
right.
We got it.
Kenosha is the next street.
Listen, I know where Popeyes is, I live on Courtney Road.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm telling you, Popeyes is on Hempstead Turnpike between Dunkin' Road and Courtney.
Right.
Across the street from Olay, that bar that they closed down.
Okay.
Okay, so they double park. I mean, they don't double park, but they're parked on both sides of the street. The sign clearly says no parking, period. It doesn't matter what time of day it is, you're not supposed to park there.
When you say they, if I can interrupt for a moment, who's they?
Drivers?
No, the people that want to eat chicken.
Okay. So it's not the people that approve it.
No. I mean, if it's the
So
residents.
you're looking for traffic, we're looking for.
Well, of course.
Just wanted to narrow it like that.
I think this is about the new sandwich that they.
Okay, so on any given day, I don't care what time of day it is, they block that intersection.
Okay, got it.
So anyone that's on Courtney Road, this is just regular traffic on Hempstead Turnpike. Anyone that's on Courtney Road or on Lawrence has to wait maybe 5 to 6 minutes and try to get across. All right? Which is a major traffic condition. There's been a lot of accidents because there's a lot of confusion. All right? Also, in addition to that, Popeyes, the drive-through when you drive out, you're supposed to only make a right. There's no sign, so these idiots make a left, and they're not supposed to.
Chief, you getting all this?
Yes, I got it.
Thank you.
On Courtney Road, there's speeding because it's a through street. It's one of the few that they have from Hempstead Turnpike to Front Street. Dunkin' Road and Courtney Road are through streets. So they fly through there because Hempstead Turnpike is so backed up that that's the only alternative they have. So that's another condition you might want to address.
Can you get along with your neighbors to sign a few petitions about exactly what you're talking about and what you don't like about the exit out of Popeyes and bring it to the traffic safety board meeting that meets the fourth Mondays of the month, so that we can take corrective action and then pass it on the board and put the signs up and then do enforcement.
But in the meantime, they need some enforcement.
No, we will, but I'm trying to correct it permanently.
In the meantime, they need
If you could put in writing and send it to Mary Burns, this address, police will then go and evaluate the situation, and they'll vote on it at the next meeting. You can attend, and any of the other neighbors who choose to do so may also attend and comment. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Wait. You haven't put a paper in. Did you put a sheet in?
Oh,
No.
I didn't know. I was there Friday, but I didn't know.
I was announcing it about the meeting.
Oh,
You were the first person here, as a matter of fact.
yes,
Come on up and see what you can do.
okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I was here last Friday with my daughter, and then I showed at, about the school, the transportation for the school. And as I'm here, I'm learning all the things. And it's about the crossing guard. And we are sure that we do need more crossing guard. Because, you know, I have little kids that do go to school as well. You have some by the middle school. Further down, the kids still have to cross Front Street, which is a big street that is very dangerous with traffic, and there's no cross guard there as well. So I have so much to do, but I'm gonna learn how to address those questions as time go by. But my main concern right now is about the cross guard. We do need a few of them.
We are reviewing the situation with the crossing guards.
Thank you.
There are many streets that do need them and don't have them, and it's really a pocketbook type of an answer. And you try to put them where they're most needed. So we're doing the best we can in that regard, but if you are specific and you want to put it in writing, give it to us, we'll certainly consider it.
I'll definitely learn, and I'll come and I ask questions on how to go about certain things. It's a pleasure learning that Hempstead is doing a whole lot.
Appreciate that you come to the meetings.
Thank you.
And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Trustee Hobbs?
Yes.
Trustee Davis? Trustee Renfro?